Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be interviewing the beautiful Chris Gray, who has copious experience as a Jedi using King John Smarty's healing frequency and products. So today we'd really like to get some of her experiences and testimonials using these products. So welcome, Chris. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Peter. It's an absolute honour.
So Chris, to start off our chat, I would love to ask you a little bit about yourself and your background prior to you finding out about Source Directives and King John Smarty, otherwise known as Sananda Galactic, Jesus Christ. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm one of eight children, third eldest. I had 6 brothers and 1 sister years after me. Very Catholic mother. I mean, we used to say she was always on her knees praying.
Yep.
And my dad was high up in the newspaper business, which owned the Herald and Weekly Times in Melbourne. So they own a radio station, I think there was 2, as well as HSB7, which was one of the main channels and still is. So because of my father, I think I learnt to question everything. And because of my mother, I think I have a wonderful faith.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So he really helped with you wanting to explore and research and question things and look into things for yourself, whereas your mother sort of, I guess, showed you what it was like to believe in something and maybe also showed you perhaps what you didn't want to believe in the same sort of way, would you say?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Well, I loved history too, so I followed history. And when everyone was dying of cancer, and I mean, we're talking 30 plus years ago, particularly kids, and they're telling us, you know, we've got this 94, 96, 97%, cure rate. And I knew from friends' kids and from research that that was all bullshit. So that started me down the route of studying who made the money. And my goodness, I had no idea that that was going to be an unending black hole. So I was following, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, but even before that, the Knights Templars. I followed basically religion, money, who gained from wars, because the wars that I was studying was just horrific. So I was a bit of a pain in the ass with Bob because I'm a military wife on a military basis, and here's me questioning everything.
Going down those deep, dark rabbit holes, because they always say follow the money, and, history was written by the victors, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm very interesting past you've got there. So that then led up to a point where, how did you come across Source Directives and Smarty's work that he's doing?
Well, I was on a lot of groups.
Okay.
And it really amped up when we had COVID-19 because we knew that was all bullshit and we weren't going to be following that. So we sort of were on a lot of groups of awake people, which was absolutely wonderful, and from there, Mel and I were liking, Mel Hood was liking a lot of the same sort of things, speaking out like me. And then she actually invited me to come on with Smarty. And I said, could you send me a picture? Which I've never asked for a picture before of anyone. Yeah. And then I sort of said, well, he looks like a really strong commander, because she said he was the supreme commander. And I sent back it's a really nice picture. And so she invited me to come on the lives. That was on Facebook.
Wow.
Or not lives, but the Facebook stuff, So, and they became bigger and stronger. And the first time I heard Smarty speak and say who he was, Jesus and Sananda Galactic, and I was already aware of Sananda Galactic, and I didn't know anybody. Like a lot of the things I said, like Bilderberg groups, nobody knew it. The sort of things I was down the rabbit hole. Just, I've got some of the books here that help me, like Brotherhood of Darkness and Outsmart Your Cancer, and there's a lot of books here which I was loaning out to people because they're all the natural healing things I was loaning. I had to get 2 books they were always on loan. with
Right.
videos. And through my groups, I was helping them with black salve and bloodroot to cure their cancers.
Wow.
So, you know, when I came on, I just felt, I knew he was Jesus. I knew he was talking the truth. And then he was talking about his products. And I just felt I'm meant to be here.
Wow. Wow.
Like all the other crazy stuff in my life that didn't make sense for all those years was, suddenly, yep.
And with all that research you've been doing about like holistic healing, or, you know, trying to, you know, healing cancer through alternate natural ways, I'm assuming, you know, that led you, that was the prerequisite for you having that interest and that passion for the type of work that Smarty's doing. So when that sort of fell in your lap, of course, nothing is by coincidence. It's all, you know, meant to happen, and you were meant to be there. You know, I can imagine it would have been a very, very wonderful experience. May I ask what your first sort of validating experience was? I know you said you felt in your heart that he was who he said he was. But was there an experience, say maybe you were using the Smarty or the Jedi method and using your pendulum, or was there something like that? Or some people have dreams. I don't know. Was there a particular experience that you can recall that really solidified it, or you just always knew?
Well, I just knew.
Yeah.
And so everything that Smarty was telling us, I just knew to be true. So I wanted, you know, we got products as soon as we could. I loved the Holos, started using them, and having already helped lots of people heal, hearing about frequencies, I didn't really understand frequencies, you know. I just thought it was all the bad stuff they put in our water, our air, our food, and everything else, you know. But it all made perfect sense to me. It was like I've known it from before, which is like a lot of experiences for me. You know, all my aha moments were like, you know, I'll say that. Like, I didn't believe, I watched the moon landing like we did at kids. You know, we were young then. We sat at school and watched it, and I thought, oh, yes, we're on the moon. That's wonderful. And then, you know, then I heard where Nixon spoke to the astronauts, I don't know, the module or whether they were on the moon, but I thought, I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't make sense to me. Our phone lines go down, and, you know, so how in God's name does he actually, you know, they're the sort of things that happen to me throughout my life, and they're like, I'll find out. I hope I live long enough to find out. You know, and 9/11, and there were a lot of things, but we believed that at first because we saw that live, and, you know, we believed that. And then I seen the buildings over and over again. I was like, and you start to question it, and I'll be saying to Bob, still believe 9/11?
Yeah, so that would
You
have been
know?
interesting getting him across the line with what you were doing, because obviously you guys are like the A team, you know, you guys work together so well, you know, sharing the products and the information about Smarty and the healings with other people, you know. So just to briefly, how did you go about getting Bob across the line?
It took many years because he went in at 17 as a military person, and the conditioning there was terrible. So, you know, there were years where our family kept us together, and I loved him and he loved me and that, but it was really pretty difficult because he didn't believe much of my shit. And wouldn't read the books, wouldn't, you know, like, he's not into reading and that sort of thing. And I was quite used to people, it actually quite funny. There were the people that just believed me and knew what I was speaking was the truth all my life, and went and researched stuff, and I learned stuff too, not just the healing stuff. And then there were all the others that, you know, well, Chris is a bit funny, but I was in groups of all sorts of things, and worked, you know, because we're on the military bases and that, I worked with the play groups, with the preschools, with the kinders. We were all, and Bob often was on councils too. So I was on all those sorts of things, and people always listened to me and knew I was speaking the truth, and I was able to get a lot of stuff done that Bob couldn't do. You know, like, I would go to the commanding officers when we needed stuff for the kids groups. They always saw me. They always did what I asked for. I actually got I just had Bradley actually, and we had one of the top, if not the very top guy in the Air Force come to our base, you know, and his wife was interested in our volunteer group that we raise money for the kids, you know. And I actually sort of wasn't going to go that day, but my friends wanted me to. I'd just come home from hospital, so I put on a nice dress, went down there, and then they're doing all the talk and we've met them all. And I just said, why can't we have an open base day so that all our kids get to see the planes and, you know, get to see it all, because there's a lot of hidden stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And the wife sort of turned to him and said, yeah, why can't they? And he just said, well, we'll be doing it. And that was done. And our base was opened and our kids were allowed to, they covered up the important stuff, but our kids were allowed to get in the planes, see all the equipment, go to all, you know, and that sort of thing just sort of always happened for me. I always ask questions and I can't really remember when I've been refused.
Yeah.
As long as you go about it the right way and point out the reasons it's needed, because I thought we have all these people come in from overseas and see our bases, but the kids that live here with their parent, you know, they're usually fathers, but some mothers,
yes,
we're not allowed to see or do anything. It just seemed ridiculous to me.
There was a big gap, a big void there, and there was a disconnect between families and the work, which, you know, it takes up a lot of a parent's time, especially if they're in a, you know, the military type of situation. Well, obviously, from what you've told me, you're a huge advocate for family bonds, and you know, I think you're just actually a humanitarian at heart, and you just really want.
See it? You can't see it because
Bob's got your background. Maybe try it right in front of you. Maybe try holding it right there. Now I can see it.
That one will be the family unity and family bond.
I love it. I love it. The world needs that.
That is absolutely one of my favourite things that I share all the time and give to people, because of lockdown in particular, where people have been separated from their families and friends. But I put that up a lot, and I have that everywhere, and I've given it to people because you know, family bond, people have lost their kids to, you know, not seeing their kids. And so for me, that is one of the super duper.
Yeah. I think that's incredible. So do you just like starting to get an understanding of how you do your work, and we'll get to testimonials soon. You would often just carry around little printed out laminates of certain holograms, the healing frequencies that Smarty provides on his website. Yeah.
Well,
you just carry them.
Further than that, Bob actually, when we find out what people want, we send them to them. Sometimes in the mail, but other times we send them via computer. Mm-hmm. So we sort of tailor healings to what people need as well, so that they've got that ongoing hit.
Yeah.
And most of the people that we're marched with and did our stuff with, you know, they have pendants, they have straws. My favourite thing to give out.
Show us the straws. Oh,
you see the straws?
Yes. I love them, especially the rainbow ones.
Yep. So that's why I got. There's a black one, a rainbow one, and a gold one. So the straws are one thing that I've been able to give out a lot of, and thank you to Daddy and Smarty and Jazzy for those, because even if they're, you know, if they've listened to a bit, or even if they haven't listened to anything, like the lady that had cancer that was speaking out, another one that was had really serious stuff, I just said to them, put it beside your food, in with your water, use it any way you can, but this will heal you. And they just believe you.
That's amazing. I think I'm still struggling with that personally, having that confidence in that's a me problem. But have you found that with your confidence comes their trust and faith in you and what you're presenting them with? And then is that when the healing is more, I guess, evident? Does that make a difference? Yeah.
Yes, particularly when I get feedback. You know, a lot of people come back to me and go, whatever you did, it's worked, you know, and amazing. So it's the power is in the validations. I don't get as many testimonials up as I can. I'm trying to write some down, because when you're sort of doing things like every day and at every march and at every family, well, now we're back with family and friends, but even our protesting friends used to come back here and we'd do healings for them, you know. So and we were in total lockdown, and, you know, our neighbours are great, so they didn't say anything. So we just worked like usual, and we walk around the block nearly every night unless we're absolutely exhausted or we've had something on. And we do our commands as we walk, like the one Smarty is concentrating on.
Yeah, beautiful. And you say them, do you say them out loud together and just as you're walking around? Yeah, pushing that energy out and across. Yeah, I like that. That's really, really nice. And it's a good activity for you guys too, with your wands as well. Yes, I love it. Well, thanks for sharing. Oh yeah, show us your wand.
This is my favourite now. I mean, I love everything, but this is my favourite because for me, with a small hand, after I made that, I can just, no one can see it.
Yeah.
I can't, but the big thing is I can't drop it.
Yes. And that's the S1, the stealth wand. Is that correct, Chris? Yeah.
Because we walk at 10 and 11 o'clock at night. And I mean, they've been redoing concrete. Our lawns are rock hard and very lumpy. You know, you can fall fairly easily. And that would be my horror if anything happened to this. So I did a lousy bit of crocheting, which I haven't done for forever. And I'm not good at that. I was a knitter. Then I put this leather on, this little leather that one of my best friends gave me. And so I cannot lose it, cannot drop it.
Amazing. And Chris, have you seen, actually, let's start with some testimonials. I know you have so many different products and you probably have thousands of testimonials. Would there be one specifically that you've used your wand that you would like to sort of share with everyone here today?
Oh, golly.
I know it's hard. Or just anyone you can pick.
Yeah, I might think on that while we talk, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. That's all right.
I don't want it to sound smug, but I'm forever doing.
Yeah, you've got so many. You've got so many. Yeah, and so many you wouldn't even get the feedback about either. Yeah.
No, and sort of when we walk, and when like going into town, anywhere we go in the shops, I see people on sticks. I see them on whatever. You know, we just heal everybody. But the in-person ones, like when I'm up close, I do feel that a lot stronger and get feedback from that.
Amazing. So people can feel the energy.
Years. Yes. But that's Jen that I just woke up. I put her up, my sister-in-law. She could feel everything we were doing. Bob's just given me a piece of paper with Megs on it. I put that testimonial up yesterday. This is one very close to our heart.
Okay.
This is our daughter's, one of her two best friends from childhood. And she had a lot of issues, you know, ADD and ADHD and a whole lot of other issues. And the drugs put on a lot of weight on her. Totally believes in vaccination, and her whole family have always had problems, so obviously affected by them. And she got the last jab just before Samara's wedding and wasn't very well, but managed to go to that. But then closer to Christmas, Mara rung us. She was having to go into town. They'd had another shot and the whole family had come down with COVID. She's got a 9-year-old daughter and lives on her own. And so she had to race into town, Samara, and Bob drove her with our wands. Not mine, because she had to use Bob's, and she because only 2 people are allowed her in ICU. Now, she'd been sick for weeks and weeks and she wasn't getting any better. We were healing her, but they're giving her all these
more drugs.
So then she was raced into St Vincent's in Melbourne, which is one of our top hospitals, major hospital.
Okay.
And they were going to intubate her, but the big thing Mara told me was they were going to start chemotherapy on her. And so, of course, I just went, what the fuck? Excuse the expression. Why in God's name would you give someone that's struggling chemotherapy? Oh, they think it's Crohn's. And so Bob drove her in, gave her his wand. She went up and was wanding the heck out of her, and her girlfriend, her other girlfriend, the best friend, arrived, and Smart was wanding them. We were working, I was already working on her from home. And then
remotely,
And they expected her to die that night. That was why Samara and her girlfriend were allowed in, because the family weren't allowed in because they were sick. Bob wasn't allowed to join her because he was unvaxxed. The nonsense never stops. Anyway, I checked with Daddy and just kept working with him. Iris gave us a hand. Yeah, and she's now been moved to rehab. And, but I'm in chemotherapy. You think she's going to die tonight, so you put her on chemotherapy.
Yeah, let's just push that over the edge, shall we? I don't understand it either, Chris. It's absolutely disgusting, the corruption that's happening in our medical system and our governments. So yeah, we will see an end to this very, very soon. Thank goodness she had you and Bob there and the knowledge of Smarty's products and how to use them, the Jedi method. Yeah, it's incredible. She's very, very blessed in that way. So I see you've got a whole bunch of different things to share with us at the table behind you. Is there any particular tools you'd like to share, a bit of show and tell? And then maybe as you pick them up, if you have any stories about them, that might just prompt you into some, easy little experiences.
The Sleep Hollow is one of my favourite. I would suggest everybody buy the Sleep Hollows.
I need that.
Yeah, because we work around the clock, being Jedis, they're all over the world and reinforcing. So the Sleep Hollows, I really love Superfood.
Beautiful. Yeah, I see it. And with the Superfood one, do you find that gives you a more nutritious diet, or would you say it keeps your food fresher? What's your personal experience using that hollow, and where do you put it?
Well, we have it in the fridge and we have it on the bench, and we find that the food lasts a lot longer, which I think Sue said too. And and it just is better. It tastes better. Everything's better. Like everything, Smarties, everything improves. I love this one. We just got this from Smarty not long ago. It's the age reversal, which at 67 I'm really wrapped.
Yes, thanks, Smarty. That's awesome.
And I love this is the new one where you use the coconut oil. So we for the saliva one, I do that, and I have that hollow there, and that just sits under my coconut oil all the time.
Sorry, I don't actually know what that one's for. What's that one?
Supreme Healing Saliva and Teeth by 10,000, and Smarty says you just put some coconut in your mouth after it's been on this, and off you go. But I have teeth problems, and I would have been in real trouble apart from the fact that we have. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can.
So that's under everything for me for the teeth. I had an impacted tooth, which got healed, and I believe it's with the water also, getting a healing from Daddy and using the wands. But the teeth thing in our age group, because I haven't been to the dentist since COVID happened, and I won't be going back.
No.
We love our bug hollow ones, bug and pest, and as well as I can't even think now. But anyway, everything here grows like you wouldn't believe.
And so those bug and pest ones that you got there, have you noticed a difference in, say, I don't know if you ever had cockroaches or mosquitoes or flies or rats or mice. Have you noticed a difference with those?
Yeah, we rarely have anything.
Amazing.
And we used to have the ants always coming in our kitchen window.
I have the same
bedroom
problem.
window, bedroom and kitchen, but bedroom, we're on the roadside. They drove us crazy. So find the ant. Find whatever, a moth might fly in, but that flies in. Other than that, yeah, we're pretty well pest free.
I have a real issue right now with rats and mice eating my tomatoes, my bean sprouts, everything I'm growing in my veggie patch. So do you have there's a hollow for that, is there?
Well, I would again put the pest one out, because next door and behind us, they were having rat problems. We found one rat before Smarty, but we haven't since. So once you put those hollows out, I like the eyes one too. Faith. I think faith's really important. And I had my eyes, they did the surgery for my eyes and they messed it up. So my eyes don't match. So that's the reason I still have glasses. They're a lot better than they were, but I had super strong. One was a Coke glass. I haven't worn them since I came on with Smarty, and he said, I went without the glasses for 2 weeks, but for me, I can't see the really little stuff which you need to do, you know.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Yeah, on a day to day. Do you
So
have
just,
sorry, go on.
no, I'm just going to say, so this is just a light, what do you call it? Magnification.
Just to help you along in the daily. Do you have the Smarty glasses yet? That help
Yes,
with
yes,
eyesight?
I love them. Yes.
Right, and you just wear them when you're not needing to actually, you know, really read something or look up
Yep.
close. Yeah,
Yep.
Beautiful. And you noticing a difference with that as well?
Yes. Well,
Amazing.
I would have been walking into things without the Smarty
Wow.
glasses and things, yeah,
Yeah.
and just, but this magnification is really so I can see like the little writing and do things. So
yeah, that's
and
beautiful.
we know we're going to be healed. We know we're going to be healed. So we don't worry about anything. That's probably the message I would say to everybody. Since we came on with Smarty, you know, and Bob came on, who, you know, if you can, again, I say to people at rallies, if you can wait someone 46, 47 years with military and government, I can wait the dead. So he came on, listened to Smarty and just sort of came on board. And then, of course, can't do enough to help. So
I love it. Yeah, you guys are such a dedicated team, really getting out there, doing the groundwork, doing the footwork. You know, you are warriors, really. Yeah. And you're helping others, which is just beautiful. Like guiding people like myself, who's quite new to the Jedi experience. It's really, I'm very grateful. And I know there'll be many more after me who will be able to seek your guidance and get exactly what they need. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the good news is our family are awake now. Well, not the middle son and his wife and that, you know, we have to hit them with a sledgehammer, I think, to wake them up. But the fact that family and friends have woken up that were completely asleep in every way. But what I will say is for most people, I say to them, do you buzz? I mean, all my life when I talk to people or when I was explaining healing stuff or anything at all where, you know, I just buzzed. My feet went up my body, buzz, buzz, buzz. And I always thought it was just me. And then years ago, I asked someone, you know, doesn't that give you a buzz? And they're like, no, yeah, but, you know, and they seem to be like me. And I thought, I'm odd in every way. And I think that's what triggered when Smarty said who he was and all. I just went up and down, up and down. And I thought, wow, this is really off the charts for me. And when he started explaining frequencies and all that sort of thing, I was like, oh, I've come home, you know, like just everything starts making sense and why I fought everything all my life. I mean, I had a brother that was a shocking bully and I stood up to him, you know. He used to punch me. I used to usually only step in when he was bullying the younger ones, you know. I mean, he became an alcoholic. He has turned his life around now, but it took till his late 60s. But, you know, you try to help people, but they don't want to be helped.
Yeah.
You know, but he doesn't drink now, and he's a much better person. But I don't really have anything to do with any of the rest of my family. They would all think I was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Even Samara, when I was telling her stuff about Smarty, my mother ended up with dementia, but that was drugs that they gave her in when she had to go into care. You know, Samara said to Bob, because Bob started telling her stuff too, and she said, well, I was going to get Mum checked because I thought she had, you know, dementia. Which really hurt me because I thought, Samara, you know that I know all this stuff. But the Smarty stuff, she started to think, oh, Mum's losing it. She's become
She
Nana.
just thought it was too much. Actually, it's so funny you say that. My mother the other day, I've been slowly drip feeding her little bits of information because she still thinks that the WEF is good and, you know.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. Yeah, she's beautiful, a little bit naive, bless her. So slowly just trying to get her on board with everything and just to see the corruption without scaring the crap out of her, to then bring her over to, hey, these beautiful things are happening, but we all need to do our part. We cannot sit there in ignorance and pretend nothing's happening, you know. And I was telling her how she's trying to lose weight. And I said, Mum, you know, pretty soon you're going to be 30 again. You know, you're going to have a beautiful, strong, healthy, energetic body. You're going to have plenty of time to kill. And she's like, oh, Peter, now that's going a bit far, isn't it? You know, and I'm like, she's like, I'm glad you have some hobbies and you found a little group, but that's a bit silly now. It's, you know, I think we all have our families we're trying to do the best for, wake up, you know, in their own time. And it's difficult. It's really difficult. What would you suggest to someone who, I know that you've been dealing with it a lot in your life, someone who just doesn't believe, someone who you love, say they're going for like their 5th booster shot, or how would you suggest gently waking someone up? How would you go about doing that, Chris?
Well, usually when I walked around, and this was with rally people, new people and other people, even people without masks, you know, if they sort of got a bit antsy because, you know, I didn't mask up, didn't obey any of the rules, and I've never obeyed rules. I mean, I always thought I was a rule, I was someone that followed rules, but no, I never did, never did. So I would say to them, anywhere on the streets, anywhere I met them, if your mask works, I'm no problem for you. And it was amazing how many people went, oh, yeah. And I used to say at the rallies too, well, not just about the mask, but if your vax works, when they were getting vaxxed, if your vaccine works, you know, I'm no problem for you. Yep. And I'd say whenever in the world has anyone ever said to you, if you had your flu shot, and I'm not talking about doctors, I'm talking about ordinary people, you know, people never asked questions like that, you know.
Yeah.
And also the HPV nearly did my head in because, and I made, you know, I got Samara to have that one because I was worried about cervical cancer until I looked into cervical cancer.
I've had it as well.
95% cure rate, doesn't come on for 30 plus years. And if you do anything about it, you know, so that really woke me up too. But I mean, then I'm being told that the boys, young boys, are being given the cervical cancer vaccination. So I'm going around saying to people, what the heck, you know, why in God's name? They don't even have a cervix. Why would they need a shot to prevent cervical cancer when they don't have a cervix?
Yeah, it makes you question what's actually in there.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah, what's to gain from doing that and putting that in someone's body?
And that's when I watched, like, you know, and because I could speak, they would understand and would hear the truth, I'm sure, but they'd also go, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I had lots of people say to me, are you sure? And I'm going, yes, I am positive, because I went right off when I found out they were doing it. Look it up. And that's another thing. Do your own research. Most people listen to people that give incorrect information and then go and spread that.
Yeah. That's right. And all this information is hidden in plain sight.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of it. These arrogant beings that are doing what they're doing to humanity, they hide it all in plain sight. They're quite, I'd say, arrogant about it, really, to do what they do. And the evidence is there if you would only look. Yeah, I agree. So, Chris, I was wondering, the golden cube, I had Eva talking about it the other day. I can see you've got one sitting there.
Yeah.
I want to know, what have you discovered about it? Because obviously Eva had her experience that she discussed on an earlier interview. And I was wondering what yours was, because I know it's a bit of a mystery.
Yes, it is. I love to sit outside and talk to Daddy with it, holding it close. I have it with me. I love it. It warms up when it's with me. I find that all our things, when I have them on me, they warm up. So I know they're healing and doing all sorts of things. So yes, I love it, and it's going to do so much, and we don't even know what it does, but I know it helps me and it helps people I work on. So
do you feel right now that it's probably strengthening your connection to Daddy's source? Is that something that
I use all my equipment. We have it near us, you know, and I take it wherever I go, because at the very least, I would have one wand with me anywhere I go, and usually straws in case I need to give them away. So I
love that.
Yeah, well, it's simple. They don't even have to believe. You know, you just tell them a lot. Most people now seem to know about frequencies, and I say, this is full of healing frequencies. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, and I say, and it makes your water taste a lot better, and it's getting rid of all the crap that's in our water. Well, who doesn't want that?
That's right. And people can see the bubbles. I don't have a straw yet myself, but they see the bubbles, you know, like the water literally getting aerated and filtered, you know, going back to its pure self. Because, you know, I don't know if everyone's aware, but I think people are becoming more aware that, you know, there's a lot of heavy metals and chemicals, including fluoride and chlorine, put into our water. And there's a tremendous amount here in Australia, especially. So neutralizing that, you know, to make sure that what you get in your body is so important, because we are, what, 80% water or something ridiculous like that?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
70s, yeah. I was against fluoride in the water for 20 plus years, and actually fell out with Bradley, our middle son's best mate, because, you know, and, you know, it was just awful, because I was trying to stop them, because, you know, it's important that we clean up the water, and they thought I was crazy. Oh, no, and I'm, you know, not using fluoride toothpaste and all that sort of thing, and they believe, oh, no, they'd only do good things for you. And I was like, well, you better go do some research. So they did, and they came back and they said fluoride's good for us. And I told them that it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and nothing should break that. We know they do that with vaccines now and everything.
Yeah.
But, yep, so that relationship, it was like another son to me, but, you know, still talk, you know, but can't talk on anything.
I mean, that's something that I think that we should probably give all the viewers a little hope on here, Chris, is that soon everyone's going to be awake. There's a forced awakening happening very, very soon. And we're all going to be raising our frequency, raising our consciousness together. So anyone who is still asleep or just hanging on to old beliefs and values, you know, it's going to change, and we're all going to move up together. No one's getting left behind. And with that will come memories and understandings, and I think a lot more love for each other. And, you know, those types of relationships will be restored and better than ever, I imagine. Yeah.
Yes, and the heavy love and light blankets, I use them, you know, I mean, Daddy must get sick of me because I use that.
I do it too. I'm like, love
yeah, because it's so powerful, and that's what people need. And one of the things that, when I speak to a lot of the people at protests again and other things, is just leave the people alone. They're not meant to be awake. I know they're giving you a hard time, because some of them are like, well, wait until this, and I'm going to that, and blah, blah, blah. And I go, no, that's not working through love and light. You need to actually just let it go. You know, that when people say things to you or don't want to know, let it go and hit them with heavy, heavy love and light. And it mightn't be as much fun for people because they really want to do this anger stuff. And I'm not into that. There is no point in that. You're only hurting people that have already been hurt, because they're now vaccinated. So they're even worse off.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's really important for those of us who are awake now, and we are following our source directives, God's plan, and we are aligning with our inner truth and the truth that is of the universe. You know, I think it's really important that we all remember that we have woken up first, so that we are there to hold their hands and guide them and show them the love and compassion and understanding that we didn't have when we were waking up. You know, yeah, it's so important. I get chills when I say it, because that's Daddy validating. I get the big zoom going through my body saying, yeah, you know, that's part of the reason why we are in the position we're in. We're meant to be leaders, leading with love and compassion and kindness for each other, because we are one big family, aren't we? The collective.
We are. And one of the, or two of the, I don't know if I did both the testimonials, but I certainly did one of them that was really good, was when we were standing, we stood for 3 weeks at Parliament to stop Dan bringing through his absolute power. And we were going home at night, but people were staying overnight. And one doctor, who'd obviously woken up to a lot of stuff, he was just so angry about the vaccines, and he started to climb up to go behind the barricade to the police. And he was just sort of going batshit crazy about it all, you know. And I could see it. So I raced over, put my hand on him, and started working on him with heavy, heavy love and light, and to dispel the anger and sending it, you know, pulling all the anger out and sending it up to Daddy. And I actually talked him down. And when he got down, because there was a horrible woman that, I don't know if she was evil, but probably, she was spurring him on. And this was going to end up very bad. Anyway, he came down, and I was I think I had his hand again, and I said to him on his arm, I said, I'm really, really proud of you for calming down and getting down, because this could have been awful. And he's a top doctor, you know, specialist.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said to me in front of everybody, he said, I didn't do it, you did it. He said, you calmed me down. And I'm just zinging as it happens. And he was like, I don't know how, but you calmed me down.
Wow.
So that was pretty incredible. And there was another guy, an older guy that doesn't often go off. He's at our marches, and he's really, really, really lovely man. And the police this day, they pushed over a woman to make action happen. This was just last year, midway through, and they helped her up, and the guys were going off, and he came in and was doing this rant, and I thought, this is going to end up a bloodbath. So I actually just started working on him and the cops, him and the cops, him and the cops, him and the cops. And I was able to calm him down, and the cops backed off, and I'll often get between the people and the cops. And that, yeah, Bob gets a fright a few times. He thought I'm going to be pepper sprayed, but so far, Daddy protects me. You know, and I have been able to walk around healing the people that have been sprayed, particularly in their eyes, by putting my wand. But I mean, I say to people, at what other time in the universe would you walk up to people, because a lot of them I don't know, because we had 1 million people and stuff, you know, we know our main groups, but a lot of people we don't know. And they're often the ones that get angry because they haven't been used to all this, you know. The police are going to try to get us upset, and then that's what's going to go on the news and in the newspapers, etc., to make us look bad. And so, you know, I just go up to people and I just go, would you like me to heal you? And they go, yes, please, or why not? I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
They want it. They know. Yeah, that's so interesting, because, like, I think that's something I would like to do. I'm getting my wand actually today. My brother's bringing it. It's been waiting at his house. We did a double up order, because Smarty does such incredible sales. So we doubled our order up, so we had enough to sort of, you know, purchase things. But yeah, I can't wait to sort of get out there and I guess really just start asking people, you know, putting my own lack of confidence aside, you know, my own fear of judgment aside, and just go, hey, can I heal you? Hey, because there are a lot of homeless people around my area in Ipswich where I lived, a lower demographic area. And I know there's a lot of elderly that, you know, are in pain and struggling, and definitely a lot of people with physical ailments and mental issues as well. So there's a lot of healing to be done in this place. And you've definitely given me, I guess, a little bit of a kick up the arse. As soon as I get this one, I've got to get out there with my little one and start, doing some groundwork. Yeah, I love it.
And while we're here, have a look at my hair.
It's beautiful and thick.
Well, I lost somewhere between
and
I was down to a half or a third of my hair. I was crying in the shower, not because of the loss of the hair like that, but because Samara's wedding was coming up, and I thought, I'm going to be bald, and you're not supposed to say that, you know what I mean? But I was worried about that, because you're manifesting.
Yes.
And we kept working on it, and but it was just heartbreaking seeing I was just losing hair like I'd had chemotherapy, like I've seen chemotherapy people lose, and scooping that up. And I put it in the bag. So I didn't collect the first 2 weeks. I collected it for evidence for people that wanted to go, because we were hit with the weapon in Canberra, you see. And I was able to heal a lot of those people. But Tracy got in contact, and it was, I know with what I was doing with the healing, it was starting not breaking as much. My skin's still dry. My hair was so dry and brittle. And I felt one night when I woke up, I don't know whether it's the first week or days after, but I felt like, it woke me that I felt my hair felt like something broke all the way around my head. And I thought, I was like, I hope that was a dream, but I could feel pain. And I went back off to sleep, but Tracy actually asked Smarty to heal me. And so that and everybody else's healings. By my daughter's wedding, I had lovely thick hair, and I have always had way too much hair. So I thank you, Daddy, that was the reason. I always had way too much hair.
Because your hair is so beautiful. What year was this, if you don't mind me asking? Because your hair is luscious, and it's long, and it just looks so vibrant and beautiful.
11 months ago.
Wow. And have you also been using one of the hair holos as well? The hair,
yeah. I was going to show you those. Yep. the hair
Hey,
holo.
I love it. I
But
love
I
it.
mean, it's unbelievable what I've got back. And I mean, a lot of it's grown underneath where a whole lot broke. I only had stubs from the whole of the back because we were hit from the back and one side. So, yeah.
So these were weapons, like weapons that had like frequency, like negative frequencies that hit you guys, and you wouldn't have been the only people that would have lost hair either, I imagine. It would have been
Thousands were burnt. I healed a lot of
burnt.
people. Yeah, they had burns and lip burns, and even if they had hats on, they were burnt. Kids were hurt, animals were hurt. It was unbelievable.
So it would have been like radiation or something along those
Yes.
lines, would you say? Wow,
Yeah.
wow. That is atrocious.
Luckily, Bob was filming around the back, sort of, and he didn't get hit with it. But yep, that's what our police did on the steps of the old Parliament. I think it was.
Wow.
I think it was the old Parliament, and or the new. I can't remember now. But anyway, it was a lovely, peaceful day, like all of ours. There was a couple of million Aussies that our truckies had come from all over Australia. No one goes to Canberra unless you are a politician or happen to live there, and they usually work for them anyway. So, but for all Australians to get up, because I say to people, we are awake and fighting in Australia because we've never had a war here. They've done terrible things to our Indigenous people, warlike, but we just sent our people off. We never had a war here. So our people are, they're crazy. They'll do anything for sports.
Yeah.
But standing up against this, they did, and I'm so proud of them all. And it was women more than men, and women brought the men on. And I believe it was the women, and a lot of the kids started coming to our rallies too. We had lots of kids, and we had kids speak. It was brilliant.
That's beautiful, because the younger generation, like they need to be part of this movement. They need to know it's so important that they feel also confident enough and they have, I guess, enough information to understand what it's like to really be a patriot and fight for your country. And actually, let's just say it, fight for humanity, because this is a battle between humanity and other dark beings. They're not from here. They do not originate from here. So battle between light and dark, and our children need to be equipped and adept and ready. Yeah.
So that was pretty amazing. And it still is amazing how many people have stood up here in a country where, and I may have said it on Sue's, but I've said for about 20 years, you shoot our Prime Minister, we'll get another one. You shoot a state leader, we'll get another one. You shoot a Shane Warne or someone like that, and he has passed, unfortunately. And I said, we'll go to war.
Yeah, that's right. It's so interesting. We have got a different character here in Australia, haven't we? Like, I know we do love to just sit back in the pub and have it, oh, she'll be right type of attitude. But when it really comes down to something we're passionate about, our freedom, our liberties, the people in high positions that we love. Yep. Yeah, we are passionate and we are strong, and we do unite, and that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yep, they chose the wrong people. They thought Australia would just give in. Well, no, more people joined us every single week, and we had a massive amount of nurses.
Wow.
The doctors not so much, but the nurses, because a lot of them had seen a lot of vaccine injuries.
Yeah.
And they spoke up.
Right. No, it's good to know that they are. I understand doctors, probably their position, I don't know if they're getting paid to do certain things, whereas the nurses are probably just sitting on the sidelines witnessing it and going, hang on, so perhaps it's that difference there. I'm not sure, but it's wonderful to see, people standing up. Chris, I did have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What would you recommend to someone who is new, coming on board, watching one of Smarty's video or this video, for example, and they've heard about the frequencies? What would you recommend they do? Would they go to the Telegram groups? Would they purchase something? Would they start using the free holos? What would you recommend to a newbie?
Well, I would say go to Source Directives question and Q&A. Ask your questions there. You'll get all your information there. I would say use the holos, go into Bubble Up. Watch the videos for sure. Bob and I watched the Real Truth calls. They were fantastic. And all the calls since, all the Smarty Zooms and that. Start watching them. But yes, use the holos when you can afford it. Buy the equipment.
Yeah.
And those 2 sales that Smarty and Jazzy put on were just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. We were so blessed. Yeah. They're very, very generous.
Yes. And we've now been able to give last night we gave Matthew, our oldest son, an S2. And earlier that day, or was it the night before, we gave Samara hers. So
incredible.
She has an R1, and Matt actually bought a big Q.
Mm-hmm.
And he bought a Geno 2, Geno 2. So that'll start him going crystalline. And but his wife didn't believe it all, but I got her a pendant. She saw what was happening with me healing them, because we weren't allowed to go and see them for a lot of the time. You see, we weren't seeing our family or most of our friends. And so she put that pendant on Leo's crib. So we were like, wow.
That's nice. That speaks a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. It's so good to see, your people coming across and your family bonds strengthening and people coming online. I think it's just that raising a frequency that Smarty has been pushing and pushing and reinforcing and commanding with all of the Jedi guys. Yeah. Everyone that's been putting that energy behind raising the frequency, raising consciousness, we're seeing the results of that now. And for me, anyone who is a non-believer, I would suggest to them to jump onto the Telegram groups and even just scroll right back 2 years or go back through the old Jedi sessions that I'll be linking down below, because you hear the commands, you hear what, the reinforcements of what we want to see happen in the world.
Exactly.
And it's actually happening.
But go into testimonials too, because the testimonials is important, because these are real people that have done real healings, and you don't get it any better than that, because I see what doctors do and it's mostly complaints. It's very rare, unless it's sort of a sporting injury where, or something like that, nearly everybody says, well, I had this done, but it's not quite right, or they never did this, or sometimes it's worse.
Yeah. Yeah, these are just honest, everyday people's experiences using these frequencies, these products, the Jedi method, and I will be linking down below the healing requests as well as the testimonials Telegram groups for anyone that's interested watching this. They are golden, as well as the Jedi sessions, and also Smarty's 2 shops that he has, the Company of Heaven and Smarty's Corner. Now, Chris, before we round this up, I just have one last question for you.
Can I just say, go to healing and request too, because when you see what's happening there, it's very important too, not just the testimonials, but healing and requests. We are just inundated with people asking for healings. So that in itself says, this works.
That's right.
Get on board. It works, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and the sky's the limit, because Daddy has allowed so much more over this time. Like I say to people, stay happy, stay focused, keep working, and keep asking, enforce your connection, or use your pendulum to check that, you're allowed to do this.
Wow. I think that's tremendous advice. Yeah, because it does show just the trust and the faith that we all have. And it also shows that people experiencing these healings are coming on board and then requesting healings and paying it forward for people they know. That really does show that it's really happening. This shit's real. So, Chris, you kind of touched on it just then for a moment. I was going to ask you, what would you suggest to someone who would like to have a stronger connection with Source, or we refer to as Daddy?
Well, just work on it, because I can say to people that when Smarty was saying that, you'll be able to be telepathic with Daddy, God, Source, Creator, whatever you want to call him, I just thought, there's no way I'll be telepathic. And then I sort of thought, well, that's not the way to go about it, so just be open to it. But I still thought, I'm such a hands-on person. I sort of thought, I think I'll be using the pendulum forever. No. Very, very quickly, I had my connection with Daddy, and it was just wonderful, and that just makes you a complete believer anyway. But I thought, well, there you go.
Yeah, I love that.
But I was going to say there was one thing. Oh yes, last night, one of the guys that's been on with me, and he's very, very religious, He's got an Asian wife. I don't want to say his name or anything. And he's just been on with me, and he knows that a lot of stuff's going down, but he doesn't sort of believe a lot of stuff either. And I don't even know how he knew to come to me, but he is religious. He messaged me yesterday that his wife, because she works, either she's a nurse or she works in a hospital, I can't remember, she'd had to have the jab, and she had numbness in her fingers and hand, and he was really worried.
Yep.
And so I just automatically said, I will do a healing on her, you know. Mm-hmm. And which hand is it? And can you send me a photo so I can work on it and that, which he did, of course. And then he came back to me later on, but we'd already gone off to do things. We had to go over to Mel and Leo and help with Leo and things like that. Well, we were getting the trailer, actually. Anyhow, I get back and there's a message, and her shoulder, her left shoulder, you know, and he's already said that it's healed.
Wow. Just
you
like
know,
that.
And I thought, wow. And that they're the things that wow me. Someone that you've been on with for a couple of years and things like that. And I don't know if he's looked it up or, you know, because he was not someone, but he obviously was sent to me.
It's like people are becoming more in sync with their source directors without knowing it. Their consciousness is raising, they're getting direct messages, and they're following the synchronistic events that lead them to a certain place and time. You know, you happen to be that person that he needed at that time, and he received and took that guidance, whether he's aware of it or not. So that's really beautiful. I think we're finding now that there's a lot more events like that happening, and people sort of waking up in that way, like kind of like in a slumbered state, you know, through these strange experiences, which of course are quite deliberate because, you know, Daddy's in charge and he controls all of that. Yeah. Yep. I love that. I love that story. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that sort of thing just keeps coming to us. We're sent it in. Yeah. And it's wonderful, you know, so we just sort of go with the flow.
Yeah, you guys are doing such amazing work. I want to take the time to thank you personally for what you're doing for everyone in Australia and all of humanity. And also thank you for your time, Chris. It's been very valuable. Yeah.
Well, I'm really pleased because I was thinking after what Sue did and explained everything, I thought, what on earth can I say? You know, maybe a bit of an Aussie slant or something. But
everyone has something to offer, you know, we're all pieces to the puzzle, and it creates a very big, beautiful picture, I think, when we all have our little bit, to add.
Yep. So with you on that, but yeah, and it worked out a good timing that we couldn't do it before Christmas because we were just flat out. This is the first Christmas we've been with family and friends and inundated with sort of everything. So lots of healings and lots of wonderful things, but it just went away like it was never there.
Yeah.
Which is because of all the work we're all doing.
Wow.
And Daddy, of course, you know.
It's incredible, isn't it, when you see everything being validated, and I guess I don't want to say the 3D, but when you start to see sort of the things being validated, confirmed in your, you know, your physical reality, the stuff that you've been sort of waiting for and requesting and commanding, and yeah.
And can I just say that's one of the other reasons why you don't trash anybody and you don't do anything, because you can't come back from that, and we're going to be healing them. So we need to have a good relationship with these people, no matter what they've said or done. You know, just be yourself, just be loving, working through love and light. Know that, you know, they don't know for whatever reason. They don't know whether they are whatever. Just be good.
Yeah, it's like that saying, "Forgive me, for I know not what I have done."
Exactly.
You know, and they don't. They aren't conscious. They don't understand yet. So for the rest of us, I love that. Such a beautiful message to finish up on, Chris. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, do you need me to link anything down below for you? Do you have a channel or anything like that, or?
No, I just work behind the scenes. Thanks.
No worries. Well, Chris, I will be linking down below for anyone who's watching all of Smarty's shops, his YouTube channels, and the Telegram group. So thank you all so much.
I don't know if I did remember, Happy Australia Day to all our Australian people online. Happy Australia Day. Australia Day is for everybody. Our Indigenous people, everybody.
Yeah. Happy Australia Day to you too. All right. Farewell, beautiful Chris. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank
Soon
you.
We'll be happy. I don't know what Smarty and Daddy will do, but we'll have a special day, I'm sure, for the world to celebrate with.
We will. Yeah, we will. All right. Well,
Thank you. Bye. Lots of love.
thank you.